Alright, y'all, what's up? We're back, and it's actually 10:31 here in Denver, and of course, I'm still having kind of, I guess you could say, sort of gathered myself a bit more after the finish to night 2 of WrestleMania. And having said that, I just want to point out, and I already said this in my video from yesterday, I'm not just a wrestling channel. I'm proving this to you here right now. I'm also a sports channel more than anything else. I mean, I love talking about wrestling. I love talking about basketball, football. Could see me talking a bit more about baseball and maybe even, albeit to a lesser degree, hockey as well. I mean, I do live in Colorado. I am a Colorado native. We do have the Avs, who a lot of people are seeing as a favorite to win the Stanley Cup this year. And that may be even in addition to the Nuggets repeating as NBA champs, but that's going to be for another time in video. But for right now, what I want to talk about was not just that we had Mania today, and I actually wanted to do this a lot earlier, and it's actually why I said I wish I wouldn't have done my other Mania video as close to the start of night 2 as I did, but you know, I of course got to watching at least a good portion, a majority at least, of the women's national championship game between South Carolina and Iowa, which of course featuring one and only Caitlin Clark. But I don't really want to talk so much just about that specifically, where it pertains to one Caitlin Clark here. What I really want to talk about, though, more than anything else, is the fact that, let me actually move this up here for us here. I don't know why that likes doing that. That's how that was supposed to show up. Like I said, we're doing things a little bit differently, but I wanted that to work a little differently than that. But anyway, just getting right to the point, though, I gotta go. I see, and this is something else I gotta get used to, is which way am I wanting to point. But yeah, I mean, as you see right here, you know, it's really something else, a story, you know, and we're talking about Cody having finished the story tonight and everything. Of course, with that being the case, excuse me, she's actually put together quite a story of her own, and how a lot of people were thinking there was a good chance she was going to finish her story today. And the truth of the matter is, she had a great opportunity to do that, but in the end, I mean, there was just too much of what you were getting from a lot of the other pieces in South Carolina. They are and were a better shooting team than they were last year, but more than anything else, I feel like Don Staley and the rest of the crew just had a point that they wanted to prove, you know. But more than anything else, I applaud Don Staley for putting over Caitlin Clark at the end of the game during the championship celebration and everything. And, you know, that just goes to show the solidarity, the unity that the women have with one another, whether it's NCAA or the WNBA. You know, and that's a lot of what I wanted to talk about here as well, in addition to looking forward to what we're going to see from the Caitlin Clark, because something that I think that we all have to look forward to in the long run is what could be of the WNBA. Now, the thing about it is that it doesn't have as strong a standing as you would like to think. Certainly not as much as it does in the college game, because the college game, I think we all got to acknowledge, has come a long way, especially for the women over the years, and just given all the circumstances that surround all of that. And it is thanks to the likes of the Caitlin Clarks of the world, but also as she moves on to the WNBA, most likely to be the #1 overall pick. You also have a lot of other stars that there are to look forward to, and these are young women that I feel like are going to help Caitlin Clark in their own way, are going to contribute to changing a lot of that for the WNBA, just because of the star power and the intangibles that they're going to end up bringing to the table. And they're building a lot of that now through the NCAA. And sure, a lot of that has a lot to do with NIL. I mean, that's fine. And even more than that, at least for the foreseeable future anyway, they're not going to make quite as much money when they get there. Now, hopefully what changes in all of this, and this is something that I learned years ago through, I want to say it was an economics class that I was in, I'm not real sure. But either way, one of the teachers in one of my classes in high school talked about this, and this is real significant. But Michael Jordan back in the day was making upwards of 25 all the way up to, I believe, 35, maybe even 40 million on yearly salaries. Now, a lot of those were one-year deals, but just imagine if they would have put together a contract suited for Jordan that would have been long-term like that, how crazy that would have been back then. I mean, it's nothing to what we see now as far as the contracts that a lot of players get. But the reason I bring that up is because, as that teacher, that aforementioned teacher, pointed out to me, he was making a lot more in endorsements, way more than what he was making in his contract with the Chicago Bulls. Now, that's not to say that's what's going to happen for these ladies in the next few years or so. It's going to take some time. I mean, it took time for the league to grow back in the day, from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s, the league being the NBA, I mean. And, of course, that's what we're seeing here now. But what I think we're going to see with the likes of not just a Caitlin Clark, but you've already got young stars in the league, like an Asia Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, and, of course, waiting for Caitlin Clark in Indiana most likely is going to be Aaliyah Boston, who, interestingly enough, was a member of the last national championship winning team of South Carolina from 2022. But more than anything else, I think you got a Juju Watkins to look forward to. Of course, Cameron Brink is also entering the draft along with, I'm struggling with her name right now. But of course, Cardosa, I'm struggling with names. Paige Beckers, damn it, I don't know why I'm struggling with her name. The star from LSU, but along with Flau'jae Johnson and a couple of others who I think are going to likely have a shot at being impact players in the WNBA, especially if they're able to expand at some point and add more teams, because I think that's what's really needed, is the addition of more teams to the WNBA. Now, how that's going to happen and when that happens, that's really hard to say. But I'd like to think with a lot of these names, God, I'd really like to get her name right before I finish all this. But with all of them coming into the league the way that they are and everything, I feel as if, we have a lot that we're going to look forward to. I mean, I really feel as if there's a really great opportunity for a lot of things to turn around and change. Maybe not in overly short order, but in short enough order to come to a point to where the impact is going to be different. And what was started with the likes of a Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, Rebecca Lobo, and hell, even Nancy Lieberman-Klein, so many names that I'm trying to think of, a Doris Burke for that matter, Cheryl Miller, pioneers that, paved the way for a lot of these women here. I would like to think at some point, somewhere along the way in the future anyway, we're going to start seeing more and more of a payoff for that. Now, maybe that's just really optimistic of me, and that's just wishful thinking on my part. Camila Cardosa, first of all. I just wanted to make sure I got that name right. And, even with all of that, I just feel as if, it may not be something that we'll see necessarily in this lifetime, in this lifetime particularly, but at the same time, in that same vein, I guess I'm just of the mindset that, I feel as though things are going to be turning around, and not only that, but you're getting an amazing amount of support from players in the NBA, the likes of Kevin Durant, LeBron James, so many others that, have also been significant. Hell, Kobe was trying to put the league over in his own way, and it would have been amazing, had we not lost him along with Gigi. And Angel Reese was who I was thinking of. I don't know why I struggle with names so badly. I am so terrible with that, but my apologies to Angel Reese. But of course, she's going in the WNBA draft along with Cameron Brink, Carla Cardosa, and obviously Caitlin Clark. But again, you're going to have an influx of a lot of stars who I feel like are going to wind up turning a lot of things around in the ways that you want to see for a league like the WNBA. And just given that you've had the Women's Soccer League that just came out, they're blowing up pretty good. You've had women's MMA, come a long way with the likes of Ronda Rousey. Kind of started more with Gina Carano, but, go with who you want to on that. But, it's like all of these things, and then of course we're talking about wrestling. I'd like to think women's wrestling is in a greater place than what it is now. But even with all that being the case, I'd like to think that, one way or another, we're getting to where we see that a lot more across the board, especially with all these different sports. I believe we also have a women's softball league, which hopefully that's the case, and I'll try to follow that a lot more if I could. I guess I'd be spreading myself thin with all these things that I'm talking about. I'm going to try to follow it. But either way, I feel like all the women that I've named, in addition to those that came before them, along with the Sue Birds and Diana Taurasi's, Brittany Griner's, Breonna Stewart's, and so many others that have been in the game for some time and still are a part of it, and Sue Bird also being a pioneer. You'd like to think with all of that, we're starting to turn the corner, and that we're going to see a lot of great things for the WNBA. And again, maybe it's wishful thinking on my part, but I really feel like we're getting to that point. It's not going to be significant right away, but over time, I think you're going to see where all the differences in lie. Now, it's probably going to be sometime between 8 and 10 in the morning when y'all see this. Again, it's now quarter to 11 here in Denver tonight. But yeah, I just wanted to get this put together because I've been thinking about this. I've actually had this debate with my uncle for some time. And those are just some of my thoughts on that. But let me know what y'all think on it. Am I a little too hopeful, or do y'all see what I see on that? And yeah, let me know what y'all think. Y'all know what it is along with that. Like, share, subscribe, and I'm going to get at y'all.